Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to the Business Innovators Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Rick Brown. My guest today is Joshua President, the Chief of Staff at Virginia-based staffing agency LewisPrice and Associates. LewisPrice specializes in placing top professionals nationwide in the areas of information technology, professional development training, administrative support, and other high-demand positions. Earlier this year, LewisPrice was honored by being named as one of the Inc. 5000 fastest growing privately held companies in the U.S., a huge distinction for the company. Josh joins us today to talk a little bit about that achievement and to help us better understand the executive level of business, at least in the world of staffing, and the support that he provides as Chief of Staff to this Inc. 5000 company and its executive team. Josh, welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You bet. Hey, listen, I want to have you help us understand what is commonly referred to in the business world as the C-suite, right? You've got a seat at that table. I think a lot of young business leaders are probably familiar with the term, but maybe they're not quite there yet, right? They're still kind of getting business off the ground floor and still trying to build their executive team. So can you give us a quick breakdown of what the C-suite is and what it means to an organization, and then go ahead and talk about your specific role on that team as the Chief of Staff at LewisPrice?
Okay, sure, Rick. The C-level members work really in concert to ensure company strategies and operations align with their established plans and policies. So just to start at the top, LewisPrice has the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, the COO, the Chief Operations Officer, the CFO is the Chief Financial Officer, the CQO is the Chief Quality Officer, and the COS, which is me, the Chief of Staff. So the C-level executives, we must demonstrate strong leadership skills and business expertise, as well as have team building abilities and decision-making skills. And that's on top of the already functional and technical know-how that we have. And then at this level, the C-suite executives set and communicate strategies, and we hire the requisite staff to ensure the daily management is aligned with the established plans and policies.
So what does an average day look like for you then as Chief of Staff at LewisPrice?
Well, I'd say the average day for me as Chief of Staff looks like a blend of professionalism, passion, problem-solving techniques, and it's all to give the most cost-effective paths to business solutions that will ultimately increase productivity and maximize staff consistency. So in a nutshell, I work with the executive team, give them the support that they need, as well as the team members in the field. For example, during my day-to-day operations, the first couple hours I'll come in and I'll laser focus on my priorities and my strategic initiatives that I need to lay out. So that's whether it's for the week, for the month, or my year-end goals. And I make sure I line out what that looks like. And then once the rest of the team kind of comes in, so there's a method to my madness. Once the rest of the team comes in, I make sure I then make myself available. That's usually the part two of what it is, Chief of Staff for me. I make sure I have the impromptu things ready. So I'm answering inquiries, requests, and once again, back to the support that I provide. And it's not about the tactical things that I do for the team. It's more of the strategic and what resources can I give to them that helps them be more tactitious with the things that they do.
What do you think is the most challenging part of what you do?
I think the most challenging part is the ability to kind of juggle the hats, the myriad of hats that I wear. So, for instance, the way in which we run our payroll, we've grown from 35 to 50 people to over 100 now. So that means we got to change our process. We got to streamline it. We got to make it more effective, more cost effective. So since we have a CFO in place, our Chief Financial Officer, we got to make sure she has the right team, like having an accounting manager and having a senior accountant to handle those payroll duties and then to maximize that efficiency that we can handle with our growth. And that's part of our growth strategy. Another one is a decision framer and a project manager that I am. So I facilitate the contract needs of perhaps the travel that a team member might need to go on. Do we have the right contract dollars? Are we fulfilling that obligation, making sure the right facilitation is taking place? I'll facilitate the need between the travel agent to their particular project manager and then to that team member. So I think wearing these hats is probably the most challenging, but that's the challenge that it's important to know that I embrace, because that means that we're growing as a company. before, when I was an admin coordinator, I had the tactical part down when I was wearing the hats. But now I have to take the strategic approach as I'm taking care of all these different hats. But once again, I'm excited about these challenges because that means we're growing. So I've embraced it.
Right. And not just growing, recently named earlier this year to the Inc. 5000 fastest growing. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, as Inc. 5000 company, we've been able to establish that based on the 4 core areas of where we were able to provide staffing. So that's through information technology, from program management to professional development and training, and administrative support staffing services, as well as other high demand services. And you can see a lot of our work being done in California, Vermont, Texas, Florida.
So nationwide, and I want to get back to this in a second, but let me ask you this. So we mentioned a minute ago that a big piece of your responsibility is supporting the larger organizational team, right? So yes. This is where those soft skills come in handy, right? Being a people person. How do you motivate the team? How do you, get a large organizational team all pointing in the same direction?
That's my favorite part. I think that's actually what I look forward to as chief of staff. We have so many ways in which we motivate the team. I would probably tell you I'll forget some of them, but let me highlight a few that are very important to me. Team Member of the Quarter was one of the new ones that we came up with last year. And we will tell the team, have another team member nominate you, or we're giving you permission to boast about yourself. You can nominate yourself. So tell us exactly what you're doing, the goals, how you've accomplished them for our client, the knowledge that you have, how you've helped your other team members. But what I think is also important that we've added to our criteria is we take a holistic approach. So we're not just the people that work, we're the people outside of work. So you're bringing that person into work. We want to know what you do from a community outreach standpoint. So that's part of the criteria. So we ask the team members to detail it. And then once we award our winner, we give them some money, give them some time off, and then we highlight them in the newsletter. And that's where the team members can go to look at all the highlights that they have, all the things that we do on our side, on the executive level, our partners, any pertinent information that they need to know. So the newsletter is a good place that they can kind of find out all of what LewisPrice is about. We also have a tuition assistance program because what's important to note is we're not just a staffing firm, we're a career development firm. So we encourage our team to not only find out what benefits the client based on opportunities that they've been able to search around, but anything that benefits LewisPrice or their career development as a professional. And we will reimburse them once we have that pre-approval because we think it's important. Team members that want to invest in themselves, we support that. And I'd say even for the team members that want to just put their head down and work, and we have a few of them because we actually have a team member that doesn't necessarily attend the socials, but they've been able to acquire us business because of just what they've been able to do from a technical aspect. And we think that's okay too. With that being said, if you happen to forget your birthday, don't worry, we'll remember it for you. And we'll send you a card. We actually had a team member email me just a couple of weeks ago and say, man, I'm so excited. This is my second birthday card. And you guys don't have to do this, but you do. This is the best company I've ever worked for. She's a part-time employee. So she's another one of those head-down workers. But it excites me to know that we just established a little bit of this goodwill and see how much it can motivate and reward our team.
Yeah, so recognition of your people sounds like that's pretty key for you guys. I'm wondering, Absolutely. In your opinion, what is the most important skill to have as a chief of staff for an organization?
Wow, I think it's important to have a lot of skills, but the one that means the most to me is the ability to communicate, because I believe that helps build and cultivate strong relationships across all team members that a chief of staff, somebody like me, deal with, because I believe it influences positive outcomes and maintains momentum. And it allows me to have a bird's eye view across the teams and departments so I know what's going on. But the important thing is the team feels like they're just as important. They feel like they're an asset. The thing I always want my team members to know is, after talking to some in Vermont, it was important that they feel like they're a part of the team, that they're our greatest brand ambassadors, that they're our biggest advocates. In Vermont or in California and Florida, they might be the only version of LewisPrice that clients or potential partners see. So for them to be motivated about working for us is important, and they can organically give us business for that. But that's just because we establish goodwill. We figure out what works for a team. So that's great for us. And when I communicate, I figured out why it's so easy to communicate within my team. We all share the same core values of intention and integrity. we all know that the idea is to do the right thing and we do it the right way. And if they have an inquiry, if they have any questions, they know that we're going to be quick to communicate with them and to give them an answer, regardless of if we can necessarily fulfill their need, because they know that it's still a business at the end of the day, but we're not restricted by the bottom line. We make things happen for our team that we feel is necessary. And I know what the CEO, what he'd say often is, we don't mind adhering to the best practice, but if LewisPrice, since we're thought leaders, we don't mind creating the next practice.
Nice. I like that. Let's get a little bit deeper into LewisPrice as an organization. What is the LewisPrice mission?
The LewisPrice mission is to provide quality talent to increase the efficiency of operations for our clients. So as an Inc. 5000 company, we have those 4 core areas in which we provide that staffing: information technology, staffing, program management, professional development and training, and administrative support staffing services. So the way in which I'm able to accomplish this mission daily is by the organization and alignment of my strategic priorities with the members of the executive team and then the team members in the field. I also contribute to our internal leadership communication so that our staff are informed and inspired, and they see how their day-to-day work connects to our mission and our growth strategy, what we have laid out.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think is the most important question that someone should ask themselves as they consider working with a staffing agency like LewisPrice?
Sure. I consider 2 things maybe they should ask themselves. Is this a good fit? And what are my core values? And once again, we go back to intention and integrity. The people, the team members that we have, there's a culture fit that we have established. We know we have the people that do the right thing and we do it the right way. And when you work with LewisPrice, it's not about putting a body in the seat. It's about having that right fit and providing that right solution for the client and whatever they need. And our job on the strategic level is we already have assessed the needs of the client to make sure that the team member we put in place are technically qualified. But then because we know what the client needs, we know that there's an actual fit. So it's more than what the resume lays out. You got to make sure they fit right. And that's how we're able to communicate effectively on a daily basis, because we're all kind of the same people. We all value the same things, and we think that's important. So when the team member comes on board, we lay out what the expectations are for the position and what their key performance indicators are, and then what success looks like for them. So for some, they might just want to be in that position and excel where they are, and that's fine. But there are some with aspirations just a little bigger, like our instructors at the Defense Information School. We are not a staffing firm only. We are a career development firm. So we encourage team members that if this is a path they're looking to pursue, we'll give them the requisite tools necessary, and we encourage it.
What do you think are there any like myths or misconceptions that maybe people have about coming to work for a staffing agency like this?
So I think the biggest misconceptions of staffing firms are that we just hire and we put you there and then there's no communication. Everything drops off. It's attempt to hire. Who knows how long you'll be there? You work for that client, so you focus on that. I feel like most staffing firms in people's eyes they just want that bottom line. But for us, what we feel is it creates organic business. It allows us to be a trusted partner, that people realize that we're not just putting people in seats, we're actually developing young professionals. And we feel if the person that we put in that position is happy and motivated and ready to go to work, that's how much more proficient and efficient that they will be. And maybe we don't pursue the contracts that only say, okay, we only need the person for attempt to hire position for just 90 days. The contracts we want have option years available, so they have long-term capabilities to them. And the way in which we've been able to retain team members as well as contracts at a 90% repeat client rate. Our clients tend to come back to our business, to our service that we provide, because we provide quality people.
I want to learn a little bit more about your background. How did you get a seat at the table for this nationally recognized Inc. 5000 company?
Well, I believe Ken Coleman, the CEO, president of LewisPrice, had a vision, and he expressed that vision to me. He was a client of mine as I was pursuing school, so I was bartending, and I was able to have a conversation with him. But he liked my candor, my etiquette, my professionalism at that level. But he was very candid when he mentioned it. He said, "Hey, do you want to work for me?" So even though the company started in 2003, he approached me in 2014 as he was developing and finding that C-suite that he wanted to lay a foundation on, which is now Inc. 5000 LewisPrice. But there's something that he knew, how he wanted to frame his business, what infrastructure he wanted to lay, what foundation he wanted to set forth to kind of create that team. I think he took it to the next level. I'm just grateful to be along with this, and I'm doing anything I can to press upon that vision on this world. And I feel like we're going to make a difference.
Are there any lessons you learned early on in your life that still impacts how you conduct yourself today, how you conduct business?
I'd say from a developmental standpoint, I'm a perfectionist, so I'm hard on myself. So that lesson I take with me all the time. Sometimes I just got to let go and say, hey, the people we have in place, we trust them. And just like Ken had to let go of the reins for me and say, hey, I'm going to put you in this position because I trusted where you'd be. I feel like you embodied my vision, so I know where you would be. So as a perfectionist, and I'm working on kind of tailing that down, some things I just have to trust in the team and trust in what we've laid out because we've been successful when I've been willing to let go. And it's hard for most people, I'd say, but I've been more willing to put myself in uncomfortable positions because that allows me to grow. If you're comfortable, that means you're stagnant where you are. So I've learned to set perfection aside and be a little uncomfortable, but be open to the potential to grow.
And I think that's something that a lot of young business leaders deal with, and letting go of perfection, letting go of the control, and allowing the people that you bring into your team to do what you brought them in to do.
That's it.
All right. Let's shift gears just a little bit more here. Are you familiar with the Proust Questionnaire?
No, I'm not.
All right. Marcel Proust was a French writer back in the early 1900s who believed that in answering this set of questions that he developed, an individual reveals his or her true nature. Pretty harmless questions, but you really just kind of need to answer with the first thing that comes to mind. So you mind if I run a couple of these by you?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. What is your greatest fear?
Failure.
Does that stem from something that you've experienced?
That's part of life. That's part of that perfection mentality that I've had. So you said the first thing that came to. So if I had to think it through, I wouldn't have said that because I'm not afraid of it now, but I know that's been a fear of mine. So it's there to kind of be able to bring up. It's not a fear now because I've been able to bounce back from failure. So it doesn't hamper me anymore. But I did think about that first. I did.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair response. Okay, which living person do you most admire?
My dad. He is I say the most loving, caring person I've ever met. He's a deacon at the church, and he just laughs and he's excited about life. You know what? I think he's really more excited because he's retired now. So he's man, I love vacation, man. I love Florida and all that, but it's just like, now I see another level of happiness. He was even happy doing the work that he did, but he laid the blueprint of, hey, you can do your work, you can be proficient, do what you need to do, but you can have fun while you're doing it, and you can be good to people, and you can make a difference in the world. I love that man. He's great.
Awesome. What is your current state of mind?
Happy. I'm in the greatest place I've ever been in my life. I've grown on a personal scale, on a professional level. There's not much that will taint my happiness. And I've done a good job to protect my energy nowadays, especially with my relationships, because relationships matter to me. So if I feel like there isn't anything being reciprocal in any way in terms of positivity, I got to peacefully just kind of take a step back and move forward. But because I've been able to do that, take control of my energy and what I've got, what I can provide to people, I've been the happiest I've ever been.
Reciprocity is very important.
Reciprocity is important.
Yeah, I like that response. So speaking of relationships, what is the quality you most like in a person?
Honesty. Just tell me the truth about me. That's okay, because we can work beyond that. So I think it has levels, but we can start there, being honest. And then if you're able to communicate that, to say, hey, I'm dishonest with you, not to hurt you, but to just tell you the truth and see how I see things. And I think the most important thing that I've learned with coaching at this executive level is when I speak with people, I seek to understand. So if you're honest with me, this came from a level that you're seeing something from me that you'd want me to change because you care enough about me. I think you lie to people when you don't really care about what you want to happen to them. So how I handle it, I'm honest, and I think we can move from there. I think that's a great starting point for a lot of relationships.
What's your greatest regret?
that I haven't jumped out more. I haven't leaped out more. I feel like I've had a couple of things, and it's not to say it's too late, but I think the things that I've missed along the way, because I just wasn't willing to take that risk. So we go back to the failure, back to being a perfectionist. I think it's hindered me at sometimes. I'm just glad I've got it now. I've got a grasp on it. Not perfect, but it's where I'm glad it is, because I've never been this happy. But I was able to be this happy because I was just willing to be a little bit uncomfortable with any of the positions that I've been in.
So finally, what is your motto?
What's my motto? Outside of LewisPrice, it's kind of a goal of mine, and it seems pretty recent. A lot of the spaces that I enter, I seem to, what I've been told, I have this aura about me that people gravitate towards me. So if it's not a motto, it's kind of like my 4 F's, if I may. So it's faith, family, fitness, and fun. And when I embody those traits, I think I bring a lot of people together, and I spread a lot of positivity. And that's what it's all about. And everywhere I am, I just want to make a difference in that person's life, regardless of what it is.
I think Proust would approve, Josh. Excellent responses. Hey, listen, Josh, how can our listeners find out more about LewisPrice and Associates and how you help?
Oh, please visit our website at www.lewisprice.com. And that's where you can find our different staffing contracts, anything that we have, our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter pages. Please follow us, and we're excited to engage with you in this new year in 2020.
Excellent. And we'll include all the social media links in the podcast description right underneath as well. Joshua, excellent. President, Chief of Staff for Inc. 5000 staffing agency, LewisPrice and Associates. Hey, man, thanks so much for spending some time with us today. I appreciate it.
Hey, Rick, thanks for this time, man.
And that's it for this episode of the Business Innovators Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Rick Brown. Until next time, keep innovating.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.